Hello, yogis, and welcome to our Friday Empower Yin Yoga class. Oh, this is my microphone today, so we're going to see how this goes. Had a little bit of technical difficulties, so let's just see. My name is Jill Enticknap, and I'm the lead trainer and founder of Yogi Institute, an online yoga school and studio. And this is our 30-minute yin practice to open up our hips. So in our current society, we tend to spend a lot of time seated, driving, and that can create tension in our hips, and our hips are connected to our spine, so that can create tension through our spine. So opening up through our hips, creating space through our hips can really benefit our entire body because our spine is connected to our entire body. So our focus today is going to be on the hips. Let's start our practice in our seated position. If sitting cross-legged is uncomfortable for you, you can always extend your legs out long. I do have a blanket here as a prop. You may want to have a blanket as well, or you can do without. So as we tune in and tap in to our practice, close down your eyes, ground down into your sit bones, and get nice and tall from the sit bones all the way through the crown of the head. Closing down the eyes, flipping the palms, palm facing down on the thighs or the knees. And let's center into the breath, letting the mind center in on the breath. As we center in on the breath, we get present to our own energy. We get present to our body. And we start to guide our thoughts and awareness to whatever we choose. So let's see if we can not only still the body as we come into the postures, but also still the mind and focus the mind where we are in this moment. Start to become aware of that breath. Feel the inhale expand and the exhale release. Inhale, expand, and exhale, release. Inhale, expand, and exhale, release. Take a moment to look down at the feet and notice which leg is crossed over which leg if you're sitting cross-legged. And let's switch that out. Bring the opposite foot on top, opposite foot on the bottom. And let's take a few more rounds of breath. And let's set the intention for our practice to stay connected to the breath and be here now. Let's set the intention to practice presence. Get present to the breath. Get present to that feeling of expansion and release. Let's slightly lean back, plant the feet on the floor, take a moment and shift the knees from side to side. And then let's come onto our knees. You may want to have the blanket underneath the knees, sink the hips back to the heels, and open up through the arches of the feet. Let's close down our eyes and get really present. Notice if there is a lot of sensation through the arches, through any part of the feet, and allow that sensation to draw you into your practice, to draw you into that presence. Come back to your breath. Let's take a couple more deep breaths here. And then let the tops of the feet come down onto the mat, and we're going to lean back. See if there's any way that you can lift the knees up, really stretching out through the ankles. Even if the knees are lifting as you lean back, you can bring your hands behind you as you lean back for support, lifting the knees up any amount in your body, breathing into it. Shift yourself back forward. Take a moment and just kind of tap out the tops of the feet into the mat. Bring the hands down, press the hips up, coming into, we call this dangle in our yin practice. So keep a nice gentle bend in the knees, feet are hip width distance apart, letting that head hang heavy, letting the hands drape down. Maybe as you come into this, you start to shift forward into the toes and back into the heels. And then let yourself settle in and just be here for a few rounds of breath. Notice what you feel through the back sides of the legs. See if there's anywhere that you can release through the neck. Maybe you let the head shift right and left, letting that head really hang heavy. Then we're going to bend into the knees, heel toe the feet a little bit wider, and angle them out kind of to a 45-degree angle as you sink the hips down. So you're looking for your squat. Hook the elbows to the inside edge of the knees as you start to sink back. Know that it's okay if the heels are slightly lifted. Stay tall through the spine. Maybe there's a gentle shift from side to side. Maybe you press your knees or your elbows into your knees as you open up those knees a little bit more. Reminding ourselves that in our yin practice, sensation is a good thing. We're coming to a point where we feel the pose. We're looking for that Goldilocks principle, not too much, not too little, just enough. And lift those hips back up. Heel toe the feet back toward one another, maybe to hip width distance, maybe a little bit closer. Check in that those toes are aligned. Let the head hang heavy, let the hands drape down. Have as much of a bend in the knees as feels good in your body to be able to find that Goldilocks place. And let's breathe into this second forward fold or dangle. Noticing if this one feels different than the previous one we just did. Let the head hang heavy. Straighten out through the legs, start to heel toe those feet back out, and we're going to come back into that yogi squat. Maybe you bring the feet a little bit wider, maybe the heels are on the mat, maybe the toes are off, and maybe you sink a little bit deeper into that squat. You can hook the elbows to the inside edge of the knees. Always an option to place a block underneath the bottom if that's what the body is asking for. And this may be a high sensation pose. See if you can center the mind in on sensation, on the breath, stilling the mind and the body into the posture. Maybe there's a little bit more space to tuck the tailbone under and lengthen the crown up. Let's take 5 rounds of breath wherever you are. And wherever you are, let's come to a seated position. Send those legs out in front of you. Take a moment to pedal out the legs. Pedal out the legs. Plant the feet hip width distance apart. Let the hands rest behind you and let's shift the knees from side to side. Heel toe the feet wider to the edges of the mat. Drop both knees over to the right. Maybe as you do that, you notice that your right foot is on top of your left knee, creating those angles with the knees. And then let's take the upper body and twist our body back over the right side. Let yourself be here. Let yourself breathe into this. Stilling the body, stilling the mind. Draw the mind back to the breath. Maybe back into the sensation. Maybe back into release. Let's take 5 more rounds of breath here. Let the torso come back through center. Take a moment at center. You can plant those hands behind you. Give the knees a little shift from side to side, keeping the feet width of the mat. And then drop your knees over to the opposite side. Take that upper body, twisting, planting the hands behind you. Draw the opposite shoulder back. Come back to your breath. See if you can deepen your breath. Focus on your breath. Breathing into your twist. Centering the mind, focusing the mind. Choosing your thoughts. Torso comes back through center. Let's unravel. Plant the feet back on the floor, hands on the floor. Gently shift right and left. Let's extend those legs out long. Inhale, reach the arms up, and exhale, hinge forward, coming into that nice basic forward fold. Take a couple deep breaths here. And then allow yourself to sink and surrender into your forward fold. Let the mind sink into the breath awareness. If the body invites you to come deeper into your fold, feel free to take that invitation. In our yin practice, I believe that we learn patience. Our yin practice slows us down. And as we're in these postures for a longer period of time, we're reminded to create the time and the space for the body to be and to release over time, not forcing or having that expectation, just allowing for the body to release in its own time, in its own way. Let's bring the upper body back through center. Take a moment, pedal out those feet. And then let's bring the soles of the feet together. The knees come wide into our butterfly pose. Get nice and tall in that butterfly. Take a deep breath in. And with your exhale, start to hinge forward. And let your hands come down onto the mat as you close down your eyes and lean forward. Back to the breath. Let the breath anchor you into the present. When the mind wanders, draw it back to the breath. Upper body comes back through center. Plant those feet back on the floor. Take a moment, shift right to left. And let's come to lay all the way down on our backs. I'm going to use my blanket underneath my head. Come to lay all the way down on your back. From your back, again, take a moment and shift the knees from side to side. Heel toe the feet wider, and let's let the knees come together as the feet are near the edges of the mat. And come back to your breath. See if you can allow for the body to relax with this internal rotation of the hips. Notice where you feel sensation. Notice what that sensation is. Sometimes our yoga practice can make us uncomfortable physically. And just because we are uncomfortable, we never want to feel pain. But some discomfort in the body can actually be a good thing. It can show us that we're taking ourselves out of our habitual movement patterns, and it can be an indicator of change, new movement. So just know that what you're feeling in this pose, as long as it's not pain, know that you can sit with it. Know that you can be uncomfortable for a moment. And as we practice that within our practice, within our classes, we start to learn to not be so responsive to discomfort off of our mats. We learn how to pause and choose how we respond rather than be in reaction to sensation or stimuli. Start to heel toe the feet back toward one another. Let's take a moment, draw the knees in, wrap the hands around the knees, gently rock right and left. And then let's extend the legs out long, coming into that final resting pose, Shavasana, and finding that in your body today. So know that if lying flat on your back it doesn't feel right, you can't release and relax, you can find a different posture that feels more restorative, more relaxing to you. Let's come back to that breath awareness and that intention of presence. When we're connected to the breath, we are connected to the present moment. The breath does not live in the past or the future. It only lives in the now. So let's take a few moments to really let our breath awareness be present. Take 3 more rounds of breath here. Feel the breath expand and release. Feel into that rhythm within the body. Big breath in, full breath out. One more big breath in, full breath out. Take a moment to roll up the wrists and ankles. Draw the knees into the chest, hands onto the knees, do some circles with those knees coming apart and then together and apart. Either press yourself up or rock yourself up into your seated position. Ending our class today where we began. Close down your eyes, ground down into those sit bones, get nice and tall through the spine. If there's any organic movement that the body is asking for in this moment, say yes. I encourage you today and always to give the gift of your presence. We practice presence on our mat. We practice that breath awareness so that when we're living out in our day-to-day lives, we have that gift to offer others. So when you're with your families, when you're in moments that are precious, that are tender, that are important, moments of connection, moments of love, come back to that breath, come back to that presence, and allow yourself to breathe into the present moment. Thank you for being here this morning or this afternoon or this evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. Again, my name is Jill Enticknap, the lead trainer and founder of Yogi Institute. It is always my honor to share this practice with others. The light, the love, the wisdom, the presence in me sees, honors, reflects, and encourages the light, the love, the wisdom, and the presence in you. Namaste. I hope to see you again on your mats very, very soon. And until then, may your light be your guide.